to stop the cuts that the council is making.
We're going to stand up and fight for our local community and stand up against the Tories. They say come back, we say fight back. They say come back, we say fight back. Come back, come back, come back.
I'm Keith Fletcher of Haringey Trades Council, which is the local wing of the TUC. It's come along to protest like this for many years because we're facing massive cuts from the condemned government. We don't yet know quite what the level of cuts is going to be in Haringey, but it's clear that jobs and services are under threat.
I can see somebody here from Defence Council Housing. As you know, that's one of those areas that's really being savaged by these Tories who all own their own homes, don't have to worry about the rented sector, don't have to worry about community, social housing, so they're making it impossible for workers, ordinary people to live in a city like London. So welcome Paul from Defence Council Housing.
It's really a matter of great concern that housing is one of the main targets of the condemned government's cuts, because housing already is very difficult for a lot of people. It's hard to get for a lot of people, it's expensive for a lot of people.
Hi, my name's Sept. I'm from Haringey Solidarity Group. We're part of the Haringey Alliance for Public Services who are holding this demonstration today outside the council meeting, which is one of their budgetary meetings to decide on cuts throughout the borough. And we're here to demand that the local councillors here resist calls from central government to implement cuts and actually force back these kind of cuts.
This government have come in and they're going to cut housing benefit. They're going to cut housing benefit for the unemployed. They're going to cut housing benefit for any tenant who's got a spare room. Just think about it. How many spare rooms do you think they've got in the cabinet? How many spare rooms has David Cameron got? They've got loads of spare rooms. It's okay for them, but apparently that's going to be a real problem, cause a problem. But actually, this comes down to local authorities, people like Haringey Council, because they actually own 16,000 council properties.
Come back! Come back! Come back!
We're also saying that at the end of the day, it's not up to our elected representatives to really fight this attack on working people by capital. It's actually up to communities and workplaces to do that, because ultimately career politicians will act as career politicians and will fall into line with political decisions. So we're saying that we need a strong militant response from communities and workplaces with unions and other unaffiliated workers using their economic power to go on strike, supported by service users and communities, to actually resist all cuts across the board in public services, but also to support their brothers and sisters who are working in the private sector, who also feel the effect of the economic downturn and cuts upon them, and use these kind of alliances to fight back against politicians, against capital, and against big business which are implementing these cuts.
My name is Barbara Blake and I'm a resident of Haringey, and I'm here because I believe that universal public services are the bedrock of a civilised and decent society, and I'm here to lobby the council tonight and put across my point of view that frontline services should be protected.
They say come back! We say fight back! They say come back! We say fight back! Come back! Come back! Come back!
I don't believe, and I don't think anyone in the country now believes, that this Conservative Liberal Alliance has a mandate for the cuts, for this magnitude of cuts. They have told us that there is no option but to cut public services, but they have laid the blame for the deficit squarely at the feet of hard-working civil and public servants. The deficit has been caused by the greedy banks. They need to be regulated much harder, much tougher, and it isn't the fault of hard-working, decent people that we are in this situation, and I believe there is no need to cut the services that the condemns are doing, and that we need to fight and protest about that.
They say come back! We say fight back! They say come back! We say fight back!
The purpose really of a group like the Haringey Alliance for Public Services and the other groups that are around there, quite a few, is to build a broad movement of people that work in public services, but of course people that also use them. It's going to be those two groups that are going to be crucial to forming a coalition which will hopefully stop some of the cuts, if not all of them. So a beginning tonight, obviously the weather's not too good, but you know there'll be many other opportunities.
Haringey Solidarity Group. We're one of the groups involved with Haringey Alliance for Public Services.
I'm Reggie and I've sort of come to publicise the Right to Work demo on the 3rd of October. I'm here today because I just live up in Wood Green and I know that the Tories are coming. They want to cut public services by 25 to 40%. It's horrific. I'm on a really low income. I've just started out trying to be a teacher. I'm on a provision of work contract, which basically means I'm not even on a 0-hour contract. And what's happening in my college is it's being massively cut, and I'm seeing the cuts happening in every single area of my life, which is happening at the moment. And I think that there needs to be a fight back, and there needs to be a broad coalition of anyone who wants to fight back, anyone who wants to do something. We all need to come together, and we need to fight against the condemned cuts and against the coalition, because they weren't even elected in. They didn't win by a majority, and I don't think that a group of small people who weren't elected by us can come in, take away our jobs, take away our benefits, take away our welfare. I don't think it's right. So I think we should fight back.
So it's an alliance that started just about 2 or 3 months ago, and there are groups from all around the borough involved, not just 1 or 2 groups. And so we're basically encouraging everyone, I guess, if you're in a the group or your local union, to get involved. Our next meeting is next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, at the North London Community House, which is on Moorfield Road near Bruce Grove Station. We want to build as big a campaign as possible.
Well, I think it's very important, this lobby tonight, because people of Haringey are really angry about the cuts, but it's not just here in Haringey, it's right across the board in every borough. These cuts are being made, they're going to hit the poor, the vulnerable.
On the 3rd of October, Sunday the 3rd of October, the Tories are gathering in Birmingham. There's a coach going from Tottenham. We've got to make sure that a bit of Tottenham goes to Birmingham that day to tell the Tory party that there are people in the community who are not going to allow them to ruin our lives.
I work for Haringey Council. I'm a convener for Unison, so I'm here protesting. I'm here to fight the fight, get more people involved, let more people know that we're out there and we are actually standing up for the members.
And it's good to see that people are coming out to put up the fight, but the real issue is one of leadership. We need to mobilise the trade union movement. We need a general strike to bring down this government.
Yeah, I'm Ian Robinson. I'm a lecturer at the College of North East London and Middlesex University, and I'm here tonight to fight against the cuts that are being unnecessarily put in place by the local authority, and also as a gesture against the cuts in general, a political gesture against the cuts in general, which are totally unnecessary. There's a big myth about the national debt at the moment, of course, which is only 40% of GDP, which is relatively low compared to historical amounts, which went up to 70% in the 1960s, I believe. And so, a lot of this is largely a fiction, and it's a political fiction or an ideological battle that's being waged against ordinary people in order to maintain the quality of life and the unfair share of the spoils that the wealthy have garnered for themselves over the last 30 or 40 years. It's the return of Thatcherism, and I've went through it once and I don't want to go through it again.
Because we're not going to be able to resolve the problems under this capitalist society that is completely bankrupt and is only interested in giving money to the bosses and the bankers.
As people have said, this is just the beginning. It's going to get worse. Things are going to get a hell of a lot worse before they get better. We are going to see people dying because of these cuts. We are going to see people on the streets. We are going to see people impoverished. We're going to suffer. But the best way to deal with that is to fight back.